Today, we're going to be talking about how to price your products to sell. A lot of folks think that setting a cheaper price is going to help their products sell better, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. Customers buy confidence, customers buy your story, customers buy value. One of the biggest mistakes vendors at farmers market make is underpricing their products or not including the true value of their product into their price. Today, we're going to get into the psychology of pricing. Your product price isn't just about math, it is psychology. Your price tells customers what to think about your products and you. If it's too cheap, then they're going to assume that it's a low quality product. And if it's too high without a story, they're going to assume you're greedy. There's a fine balance in there, and we're going to show you a formula to help you figure that out. Today, why pricing psychology matters and how to build the proper price into your products. I'm Bill Davenport with Anchored Market Ventures and the founder of the Florida Alliance of Farmers Markets. We help vendors and markets succeed. And we also operate the Farmers Market Junction newsletter. We're going to have a link to it down in the description. We'd love to have you join. It's a great way to support us. And just for joining our free newsletter, we're going to give you our free 125 vendor tips ebook. It's a great value, gives you some things to think about and help you succeed as a vendor or as a market manager. Pricing psychology. Price is perception. Your first impressions, besides your booth layout and your presentation and your signage, is your price. People are going to perceive you based off of your price. Low is going to give them the feeling of cheap. High, too high of a price, it's risky. When you find the right price, it gives them confidence in you and your product. Kind of an example to use would be honey. You have a $5 jar of honey, and you have a $12 jar of honey, and you have an $18 jar of honey. People are going to naturally assume that $12 bottle of honey or jar of honey is a better value. $5 is going to feel too cheap or lower quality honey. That $18 jar is going to feel expensive. And if they don't know why it's $18, they're going to assume that it's just overpriced. But that $12 jar of honey is going to feel just right to them. There's some tips that you can use for that. But just remember, price to a customer equals perception. Your confidence sells at your local market. When you truly understand the price of your products and people come up and they may say an offhanded or an off-colored comment about your product price or how it's priced, never apologize for your price. Don't say, yeah, maybe I can, do it a little lower, or I wasn't really sure what my price should be, so I started out here. Never apologize for your price. Have confidence in it. You got material cost in your products. You got labor cost in your products. You have market fees there. You got your labor. You got a little bit of markup so that you make profit on your product. Never apologize for it. You are a farmer, a grower, a baker, a woodsworker, arts and crafter. That is talent. You're creating a product, you're growing a product, you're raising a product that other folks aren't. So never apologize for the price and what you have in your products. When people ask about your price, this is really important, is you want to say it with confidence. If you don't believe in your price, then the customers definitely aren't going to believe in your price. They pick up on that. And if you're not confident in your price, they're not going to buy your product. It's as simple as that. Look at your product and your pricing as an exchange of value. You priced your product at $10 and you're going to receive $10. It's an exchange of value. You're exchanging a $10 bill for your $10 product. You're not begging for money. You're not unconfident. You created or brought a good product and you're going to get a good fair price for your product. That's how you should look at it. So be confident when you're selling, be confident in your pricing, and stand behind it when you're at the market. Your story adds value to your product and it adds value to your price. We've said it in past videos that you should be telling your story. You should be telling your why. Why am I raising these cows, these pigs, these chickens? Why am I baking this bread? Why am I baking these cookies? Why am I making these cutting boards? Why am I making these benches? Why am I making this jewelry? Your story, your why is important. Your story adds value to your product. It helps define who you are and why you're there. When people come to a farmer's market, they're not only looking to buy a product, they're looking to buy a why you sell. It's not just what you sell. Local, handmade, small batched, all of that stuff justifies your price. You know, if you're growing fruits and vegetables, are you a regenerative farmer? Are you no-till, chemical and pesticide free? Whatever it is, all of that helps to justify your price. You want to tell people that story, the reason why, and use signs, tags, and stories in your booth. All of that helps guide folks and give them an understanding for the reason why your price is the way it is. A simple formula for your price is materials plus labor plus overhead equals markup. I'm going to put it up on the screen. That's the down and dirty, simple formula for pricing your products. Your materials are your ingredients, your packaging, your labels, etc. Um, Labor would be paying yourself. I'll use a candle vendor as an example just for some simple math. Say you want to pay yourself $25 an hour, and in that hour you can make 25 candles, or in that you want to pay yourself $25 and in that hour you can make 5 candles. Then your labor is going to roughly be $5 an hour because each candle is costing you $5 to equate to that $25. And then your overhead is going to be your booth fee, your gas, your insurance, your supplies. And I'm gonna stop right here and let you guys know. Um, in the description, I'm gonna put a price and margin um, calculator that I've created in there. So there's going to be a link. You can get it totally free, but it's a great tool for you to use to help get a real grip on your price and what your true price is, and help you adjust your prices so that you're getting a fair value and the true cost out of your product. So make sure you look down in the description. That's going to be there. But your price equals your material plus labor plus overhead times markup. I'm going to put on the screen here. Please forgive me. I'm trying to get a little hip to the times here. I don't know if you can see this, but this kind of gives down the simple vendor pricing breakdown that we just went over. But this is going to lead in to what's the difference between markup and margin. Well, if we use this same uh if we use this same example, um we're going to go materials cost us $5 for this candle maker. Labor is $5 per candle. So that's 5 plus 5. And then our overhead is $2, let's just say. So that's going to give us a total of $12. Now, say we mark our product up 30%. We're going to take that $12 times 1.3 or 30%. And that's going to give us a total of $15.60 for just ease of pricing and reducing change. We're going to round that price up to $16. So that's a 30% markup, but that's a 23% margin. Margin and markup are not the same thing. They're related, but they often get confused or tied into being the same thing, and they're not. Markup is what you add to your price. Margin is what you get to keep. That's the profit you make on your product. So that 30% markup is a 23% margin. So I hope that's clear. I'm not real sure if that's making sense to anybody, but your markup is what you add, your margin is what you keep. Simple way of remembering the two. Now, you might be asking, let me get my notes here. You might be asking, what are margins? You know, I'm new to selling at farmers markets. I have a product. I really haven't started networking with other vendors or other farmers or producers. Um, what's a good margin for my product? Well, right here is kind of a guide. I hope you guys can see it here on the screen, but these are typical um, margins for vendors at a farmer's market. And I'll caveat this and say this is just a guide. There's nothing set in stone what your margin should be, but this will help you get a good start point for what your margins are. Um, meat meat farmers or ranchers, their margins are typically 25 to 40% um, in their price. Produce vendors are normally 35 to 60%. And kind of the difference is, you know, just kind of notes that I've seen or gathered is, your meat vendors are a little bit higher costs. Um, Produce, it depends on yield, demand, season. Honey vendors are 40 to 65% margin. They got a lot of supplies um, in that honey business. A lot of it has to do with their branding. Baked goods are 50 to 70% margins. It's a little bit lower cost on materials, but they make a little bit better profit overall on their products. Crafters typically are 50 to 100% plus on their margins. It's unique product, craftsmanship viewed as a premium product. And then woodworkers are 40 to 70% margins on their products, higher material costs, high skill and craftsmanship. That kind of leads to that margin. Now, before anybody says, where did I get these numbers or where did they come from? These are kind of industry informed averages that I've gathered from data from the USDA, the Farmers Market Coalition, different extension programs, and vendor feedback and data on their price. So these aren't rules, these are guides. They're just kind of guideposts to get you started when you're trying to figure out your price. But you want to adjust to fit your product, fit your goals, and fit your market. And then you want to build a profit cushion in there. So if your product, your total price with your markup or your margin is right at your total value into your product, you're not going to be creating money to be able to buy replace equipment, to buy new labels, to do advertising, all the stuff that goes into your business. So make sure you're building enough of a markup or and enough of a margin into your product that you're able to create profit. If your profits are too low, you're going to stress and you're not going to have the money to pay yourself and you're not going to have the money to reinvest back into your business to help scale and expand. So make sure you build an appropriate cushion. Start out with what you think um, from doing the formula and the calculation what you need, and then don't be afraid to adjust as needed. It's totally fine to do that. Nothing is set in stone when it comes to pricing. Use price anchors and bundles. Some of y'all might be thinking, what's a price anchor? And this is where what I was alluding to earlier when we first started the video. Show your highest priced items first and then flow from there. So when people first come to your booth, have your anchor items, your more expensive items up front. They see that. So say your first item is $100, then move to the next row, and this is where depth and texture in your booth comes into play. But your next item would be, let's say, $55. And then the third level in your booth would be, let's just say, $35. When people come in, they might not at first understand what that $100 price, whether it's justified or not. But when they come in, that $55 item or items is going to seem reasonable. And then that $35 item may or may not seem a little bit lower quality. But the psychology of shopping and customers is that $55 item is going to hit the sweet spot. They're going to come in and say, oh, maybe that $100, a little bit too expensive for me. It might be a little bit of a slower moving item for you, but it's really a beautiful anchor item. But having that flow from expensive to least expensive in your tent is going to help them psychoanalyze the prices, and it's going to help them really key into that $55 being a real value, and that $35 item being affordable, and those are going to sell a lot better because it's giving them perceived value. You're helping them build the value system in your tent. Offer bundles, 3 for $20. You're not really losing money if you create bundles. Maybe you're bundling a slower moving item that you want to sell and get moving with a better selling item, but bundles help create the feeling of savings to a customer. So a lot of times customers are going to be more apt to buy bundles than they are individually, because a lot of times individually um they might want 2, 3, 4 things, but they don't want to pay individually for them. So when they see that bundle, they might not get one thing that they want in that bundle, but they're going to buy it because they're getting multiple items, and they may pick up that additional thing that's not in the bundle. So look at bundles. They're a great option. They create a savings feeling, and customers really buy bundles when they're done correctly. And then, going back to that first priced version, flow in your tent, give customers three options. Give them a small, medium, and a premium pricing option or pick. A lot of times customers are going to pick that middle priced item. So give them options. Go from from low price, medium price to high price, but make sure the flow in your tent is from highest price, medium price to lowest price. And a lot of times they're going to pick that middle priced item from you. And then avoid the discount trap. I see this too often with vendors. They feel like their products aren't moving fast enough for them, and they start giving discounts. Well, when you start giving discounts, then you start training customers to only come around and only purchase from your tent when you have discounts. Not saying discounts are bad. A lot of folks do holiday discounts like for Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter or Valentine's. Discounts definitely are a good thing, but don't get caught up using discounts as a way to get folks into your tent or as the only way to get in, because what you end up doing is training those customers, and those customers won't buy from you. They may shop, come through and visit, but they're going to wait for the sales to buy. Offer discounts strategically, but don't rely on them as a mechanism to draw customers into your booth. And then add value to your booth instead of discounts. And you can do that through samples, maybe a buy one, get one, a bonus gift. There's a lot of different ways you can add value to your booth without offering discounts that are one-offs that you do periodically to help create sales and to help get folks in. But be real careful with the discount trap. But I hope this kind of gives you uh, a better understanding on pricing. A lot of folks don't fully understand it, but price is your materials plus your labor plus your overhead times your markup. That's going to get you in the ballpark of what your prices truly should be, and then you can adjust them. Remember, markup and margin are related. Markup is what you add to your product price. Margin is what you take home. So use the formula. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk to you guys one-on-one, help you succeed at your markets. And don't forget, down in the description, we're going to have the pricing calculator. You can click on that. That's yours totally free. And we'd love to have you join our Farmers Market Junction newsletter. So I hope this helps you. If you found value in it, please give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment in the description. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, we'd love to have you subscribe. We'd love to have you come along and help you be successful at your local markets. As always, I'm Bill Davenport, and I can't wait to see you guys out at the market.